when a coach realizes his quarterback could be the greatest of all time, it should be a feeling of pure joy, right? Not in the case of the Kansas City Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes. Quote, it makes it so much more stressful, end quote, Chiefs passing game coordinator Joe Bleymaier told ESPN on Wednesday, a Super Bowl week. Quote, you feel the burden as a coach and as you are putting a game plan together to not waste his abilities, to not go through a season where you don't give him the opportunity, to not screw it up as the coaching staff. So rather than feeling like this just unbridled excitement that we could do anything, it's actually more like a terror. Like we cannot be the reason that we screw this guy up or this team up. I immediately read that and I'm like, I know one guy who wouldn't ever be scared or ever even admit it. And I don't know much about Blaymeier's past, but I don't think Bleymaier played in the NFL. And there's one thing I do know when I even talk to you or any of the other guests we've had on, JD, and other football players, where I say, are you scared a little bit of this part of the team we're about to play? Like, I'm not scared of anything. Like, sure, do they have some matches where they you know, are a little better in some certain aspects? Sure, but I'm not scared. But when I hear a player or a coach tell a journalist that he is terrorized or scared of making a bad game plan for his quarterback, it's like Eric Bieniemy would never even say anything like that. I know Eric Bieniemy was our passing game coordinator, but he was our offensive coordinator. But like to hear a coach who's dealing with our passing game as much as we throw the ball, the guy's scared to draw up a game plan for his quarterback. What's going on here? Maybe I'm just taking that out of context, but that's pretty. Reading it right there, as I just read as a layman, that's pretty pathetic. I'm not going to lie. To hear that, especially to him to admit that to a journalist,
Okay.
What are you talking about here?
Yeah, I think it's taken out of context. I'm gonna defend him on this one right here. First, I'm gonna say what's up to D Block 9 TV in the house and Iceman in here. Good to see y'all too, coming in the chat, talking about this. But I will say for me, the context that he's speaking in is he's not necessarily afraid of calling the plays. I think he's more afraid of just getting it wrong. I think he wants to give Patrick all ammunition, the things he wants to do as much as possible. So for passing game coordinators, they want to make it perfect. They want to give him every shot. Like, man, everything's available to you, Pat. All right, we're going to make sure we don't want to miss out on anything that you can do. We know you can make the sidearm throw. We know you can run and throw left and go right. We understand that, but we also want to give you practical things that you can do with your arm, right? Like the deep ball to Worthy, okay, that was 70 yards in the air. Like those are the things we need to call. And so what we've seen in the game, looking at the all 22, that there was guys open. There was like deep balls that they was calling. They wanted to call that. And so for him, he's like, look, I want to make sure, okay, that we're not going to be the ones that screw this up for Pat or something that we left out. And I think that's really where the perspective is, you know. So the context of what he's saying is not that we're afraid to call it. We're afraid of not calling something that within his realm and his wheelhouse he can do, right? If you got a back shoulder throw that he can make 20 yards down the field, hey, Pat, you got that in your arsenal. You have carte blanche and green light to do those things. And so that's why it's important, man, when we sit there and say that. I think words afraid is a little bit, you know what I mean, like misleading from here, because when you first hear afraid, like, what are you scared? What are you scared? Say, no, listen, we're going for the 3P. We want to make this perfect for Pat. That's what we want to be able to do. We want to draw up a great game plan so he can be successful. Well, part of the problem is I don't think they thought they were going to be under the pressure like they were. They didn't. They just didn't. And sometimes you hear, oh, man, Pat's holding it too long. Well, shoot, that's the play. The play call is, man, he's going to be open. He's waiting for his guys to get open in the middle of the field. He's waiting on his guys, to run the deep over and throw the deep post on guys. That's what he's waiting for. Or the deep, middle read and basic. He's waiting for those things. So I think that's more in the context of it. Obviously, I agree with you. Bieniemy probably would have never said anything like that. Bieniemy is like, we're going to hit him in the throat. We're going to try to hit him in the throat every chance we get. I know Bieniemy. That's exactly how he's going to feel.
He's going to hit Pat in the throat if Pat tries to make him feel like he's scared about the game plan.
Yeah. I think they just were saying, like, man, we just don't want to screw this thing up for Pat. We just don't want to screw it up for him. So we want to make sure we calling him everything. When we have our play sheet, we call an offense. Everything we call, we're going to make sure we're going to call it for Pat, for everything within his talents, what he can do, right? We're going to take advantage of that more so than leave it on the table like, dang, God, how come we didn't call more deep balls for Pat? So I think that's what it was, just the context. And I think people, when people said afraid, say, hey, man, you might want to use a different word, Joe, than that, right? It's like you can't be afraid of anything, when you go out there because you're trying to make history, right? And it's a huge moment. Huge moments for the coaches and the players. It's a huge moment, Marcus. This is like, historical right here. And it just didn't get to happen. So,
yeah. But using the word terror is just like a very Mike Brand says that quote makes all the talking heads say bringing Gruden. And I was one of those talking heads, Mike. I don't know, you're calling me out, buddy. I didn't say I said bringing Gruden as like a consultant. Remember we had Brad Childress as a consultant? Let's bring Gruden in as a consultant. I mean, JD, when you were with the Chiefs or Eagles, did you guys have offensive consultants, or is that more of a new era thing?
It's.
I'm just curious how much say do consultants have when they brought in?
When I came into the coaches meeting and I would see them all, because it was always funny when I come in, the room be dark, they turn lights, hey JD, what's going on? And they all be sitting around this round table, almost like the war room, okay? And they watching film and they putting everything up on the board on things that they want to do, how they want to attack. And I was sitting sometimes to listen to some of the things that how they would go through it. But yeah, you have a consultant come in and see what he thinks, man. You get on the board, hey, what a guy can do. What do you think? Gruden would definitely break some of the film and stuff down. I wouldn't want him as an offensive coordinator. Heck no. Hells no. I'm going to just tell you that right now. No, sir. No, sir. But as consulting, and I guarantee they're consulting him anyway. I guarantee Andy and Gruden have talked. Like he came to training camp. They've been together. They've been Mike Holmgren and the Bill Walsh tree and all of those guys. This is just an innovation of the West Coast offense. And so when you have certain weapons, you want to get the most that you possibly can out of a guy, and you speak and you talk to one another. So you could consult with guys all the time. Do you bring him in on staff to do that? I don't know. Possibly, maybe, but I don't think that for them having them as a long term or at least for that year, I don't think that's practical for them. They want guys that like kind of in their system. Dougie P would be perfect to come back. I like that when you said Dougie P. We know we can't get Bieniemy because he's up in Chicago now, but Dougie P coming here, beautiful. I would love to have him here with Pat. 1,000%. 1,000%.
And Dougie P would be, because a lot of people want a new voice for Pat. And the beauty about Dougie P is he's not new to the Chiefs, not new to Andy, but he would be new to Pat because he was not there when Pat was sitting in the wings with Alex Smith. That he left, he's going to take the Eagles job right before we draft Pat. So it would be a new voice for Pat, and also a guy who played in the NFL, who's been around, Super Bowl champion as a head coach. So like he knows what he's talking about. So I would love the Dougie P. I think that's more of that's more realistic than bringing Gruden. I think Gruden's just a fun thing to throw around there right now. But and I think Dougie P would actually have more of a legitimate role. Only reason why I say Gruden as offensive consultant because that's low pressure as far as being around the team where you can kind of they can go to him for certain things, right? Less pressure, more hands off from the team, right? Whereas Dougie P, I think would be more in the thick of things if we brought him in.
Absolutely,
I think that would be ideal.
I was going to send that whole Danny DeVito meme where he's like, oh shoot, yeah. Gruden would bring good energy. I don't know about that. He'll bring some energy, all right. When he gets incensed, he gets incensed. I don't think you necessarily need that though. So, yeah, I like Gruden. I love his energy. I love his fire, everything he brings to it. He'll hold all the guys accountable. He'll make sure the guys understand what they need to do. That's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's just certain coaches for certain guys. I think Dougie P would be, yeah. I was trying to say something positive. Yeah. I got you. I think, but WP, I think it fits more into that culture of things. And it'd be hard for Gruden to, man, could he take a back seat to some of those things? That's another question.
And I love this whole Gruden thing with you, especially because like people see Gruden as the media figure, the guy who has a YouTube channel, and you know, like, you know, he's a fun-loving guy, you know, Spider White 2 Banana. But then you actually were in the war rooms with him, so you know, you know how that coach is.
Oh yeah, I know Gruden. I know him. I know his temperament, and I know that Joker boy. He be funny, man, but when I'm talking about he'll cut a sucker quick about how you do on defense. He'll cut a defensive player down. I seen it. Why is this guy even here? Why is he even in the league? This is how we need attack. I used to love it because he's funny. He is, but you know, and he's very energetic, very energetic. But he demands a lot, which is good. That's good. That's good. I say this, put it this way. And maybe, I don't know, I was going to say, I was going to say maybe he's different. No, he's not. We see how he just, like Carr. I think he did Carr in, Derek Carr, because it was just a different fit for Carr. He kind of wanted Carr to be kind of the bad guy in a sense, in a way. And he wanted him to kind of, you know, adopt that. And Carr's just not that guy. He just, you know what I mean? He isn't.
There was definitely some kind of affinity there because even when he leaves the Raiders and Carr goes to the Saints end up hiring Gruden as a consultant, and he worked with Carr in that offseason when he was in the New Orleans. So there was some kind of mutual affinity before each other they had there. And a lot of Raider fans were actually pissed off, saying that Gruden should have gotten his guy when he took over the Raiders job this last time and went cold turkey and gone away from Carr to get his guy.
Yeah. No, I think, and Gruden was good for Carr in some sense, but also seeing two things. I know what he could be. You know, I can see it as a detriment to him as well in his development. He'll help him understand the game, seeing particular things, making decisions. He do a great job of that, no question. But like the temperament, like Gruden's coaching style won't work with these players now. Too emotional now. Some guys, yeah, for sure. It takes patience. You know, sometimes that style of how things were it's a little different.
To bring it back around to this quote, you know, John Gruden, you know, Coach Gruden. Would Coach Gruden ever say he was terrified of making up a game plan for his quarterback?
No, heck no. He probably ripped him apart for sitting there saying that. It's like, what are you doing? Why would you sit there and say you're terrified? You got everybody in national media thinking everybody's scared and the Chiefs are scared. He probably rip him a new one. I know he would. I just sit back and just love like, oh, we might get into it now. Oh boy. Oh man. So.
Oh, that's good. Because when I saw that, I was trying to think of the guys who would be opposite of saying they'd be terrified. The enemy came to mind first, and then I was like, okay, well, Gruden would never be terrified of any such thing. So,
Thomas Pinky, what's up, Pinky? Good to see you again, my bro. Said I feel the Chiefs missed that from coaching staff this year. Coach that would put a fire underneath them when opportunity was needed. I agree. Maybe needed a little bit more of that, you know, just, you know, you kind of go in and I don't know if they did it or not. We'll get there to that point, man. Just sometimes you, as a coach, you need to come in and just turn some tables and shit, like, and just go at it and say, look, and that's why I used to love Al's approach. Al used to say it in a way I'm like, I love how you're saying this, because Al be like, watch this guy get beat. This is terrible. Now, look, this could be anybody. And so I used to say, this could be anybody. But we're talking about this play in particular, right? So it make you feel like, okay, yeah, well, shoot. Yeah, it can be anybody. It's just not me, right? Make you feel a little bit about it. He didn't make you feel small. And sometimes you have coaches make you feel small, man. That ain't really the guy that you want. And sometimes guys don't gel that well with coaches that do things like that. So that's why Belichick is not coaching the NFL at this moment.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works in college.
Well, Neff is on here. We've been talking about this. He's a big UNC fan. I think it has something to do with a little tenderoni might soften him up a little bit.
What, dating the 20-year-old?
Yeah, it might soften him just a little bit. Yeah. He has a whole different,
A new lease on life.
Yeah, on life. A little bit more perspective now. Marcus is a little bit more cheerful. He's smiling a whole lot. He's not wearing the old drab sweatshirts and all those different things. Yeah, got a little pep in his step. Good for him. Yeah. Go ahead, Bill. Good for you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.